Hi, welcome to Mind Your Business in this month of love. We are having conversations about love and, the woman who is also chasing her dream, running her business, and also is interested in having a love relationship, right? Because relationships are beautiful. We want to have this conversation, and today's conversation is entitled Setting Boundaries in Romantic Relationships. And I have the beautiful Anna, of interviewing one of the ladies I love so much, Pastor Annette. If you are in this group, in this community, then you know who she is. She's been on our platform several times, speaking and being interviewed and all, and she's amazing. And she's a wife, she's a pastor. Actually, I didn't start well. She starts by saying she's a daughter of God. That is her first ministry before she's a bride, servant, and soldier of Jesus Christ. And then we come to the fact that she's a wife, mother of 4 beautiful children. She lives in Chicago, or is it just outside Chicago? She's a holistic wellness coach, speaker, and women's health nurse. Beyond all these things and all the beautiful things she's doing, pastoring a church and all that, I am privileged to call her my friend. She's one of the women that when I need support in terms of, I'm trying to think through things and I need someone to help me, to coach me through, or ask me questions or challenge me, she's one of the women I am blessed to have in my mastermind. And today she's going to speak to us on this beautiful subject of boundaries. And I hope you've got today we are doing water finished almost. We are doing water, and let's sit tight and enjoy this beautiful episode of Mind Your Business.
Fab Hub Ashanti, a haven nestled at the tip of Kumasi, where fresh air meets serenity. Fab Hub Ashanti is a residential learning and event space perfect for your corporate training, staff retreat, group hangouts, and wedding receptions. With 4 rooms and 15 beds, you and your group can sleep comfortably. What makes us special? Fab Hub Ashanti is not just a space, it's a commitment. By choosing us, you support community projects empowering women and youth. Join us at Fab Hub Ashanti off Aful Junction, Abuabukesi, Kumasi. Fab Hub Ashanti, here we grow. Hi, I am Ahmed Duncan, founder of the Fabulous Woman Network. Before 2015, I was that broke girl who was stuck in her own limiting belief of not enoughness. Marianne Williamson's words, "You are a child of God," woke me up. And then I sought help to work on myself. I still invest heavily in my personal development, and so much has changed for me in the most incredible ways. My burning desire is to see an Africa in which women are empowered to thrive and impact people. I am a trainer, coach, author, social entrepreneur, and an event organizer who is passionate about helping others on their own personal development journey so that together we can all thrive as fabulous children of God. Mind Your Business is our weekly podcast which is free on YouTube. Here we share enriching content to help us all thrive as fabulous children of God. And if you prefer to work with me one-on-one, please go to my website amaduncan.com/store to book a discovery call with me.
Hola.
Hola. Oh, now you're making me think of Spanish. I've been studying Spanish, but anyway.
Really? That's good. I've tried, but schedule doesn't permit it.
Anyway, it's good to see you in this year. The whole of this year, I'm now seeing you. The whole of this entire 2025.
All of this year, we're just now meeting. How could it be? Now we've gone an entire 14, 15, 16, 20, I don't even know. And we're just meeting the whole year. Well, It's good to see you, Amma.
It's always good to see you, and thank you for making the time to speak to us on something that God Himself embodies, love. Today we are looking at the subject of romantic partnerships.
Ooh,
Oh, I like
love in the
it.
air.
Have you been practicing or what? It just comes so.
No, we just
I won't even attempt because I may just destroy the anointing. Before we dig into this, let's first talk about your romantic partnership, your current one. You know how on Facebook we have that thing, how it started and how it's going. I think is that how it started versus how it's going. So tell us the story of how it started and the journey up till now.
all right. Hello, viewers. Hello, fabulous women and the fabulous men that kind of sneak in here and there. We're bringing you greetings from the Windy City, Chicago, where I'm sitting right now. It's snowing, but I'm staying warm. My romantic partnership. So as you can see right behind me over there and over there,
Yeah.
that is my baby boo, my boss, my best friend. I am privileged to be married to an amazing, amazing man. And I don't say it just because. I'm not one that, if you've met me before, I'm not one that minces my words. My husband actually asked me every so often when I was a little child if anybody deceived me with what we call in Ghana toffee. He would say, when you were a kid, like you're so hard to convince. Was anybody ever? But this is an amazing, amazing man. And we met, now we've been married, I think this is the 18th year, but we met in a very romantic fairy tale type of story. He was the
Mm.
best man for a wedding, and I was the maid of honor. He was out of state. And so a year or so later, the maid of honor and the best man ended up walking down the aisle.
No way. No way. How come I didn't know this?
I'm surprised you didn't know that's how I met my husband. I was in Connecticut, living in Connecticut then, one of our church members, and it's very it's a marriage ordained in heaven. And I don't say that just like so, normally you would be a maid of honor to somebody that's a best friend to you. When they get married, you pick your best friend. But this lady was getting married. And I say this lady, we're friends now, but this lady then, I just casually used to see her at church. I had only started attending the church, by the way, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really know a lot of people in there. And she said when she was getting married, she felt led to go to our pastor's wife and told our pastor's wife, I don't want just anybody else standing behind me while I get married. I want someone that God has chosen to be. I'm picking up my bridesmaids from friends, but for my maid of honor, this is what I feel led. So who would you recommend? I had been in church just 2 years. And my pastor's wife said, ask Annette.
Oh my God.
And so she asked me, and I said, let me pray about it. And I prayed about it, and I felt led to. And so I said, okay, what are the duties? What do you expect me? What do you want me to do? And so they say the rest is history. Halfway through planning the wedding, one day she asked me, she said, are you seeing anyone? I said, no, not currently. And she said, well, our best man is a pastor, and I think like you guys should connect. This was before I was in Connecticut. My husband lived in Chicago. And so she's like, call him. I said, and this was exactly my response. Amma, you know my sassy self, right? So she said, why don't you call him? I said, well, my grandmother raised me and she raised me right. That is the dog that chases the bone, not the bone that chases the dog. So I am not raised to call a man, okay? Now listen, I know we are in this current state and people do, and that's fine. But that was just, I'm very old school and that was not what I would do. But this is what she said. She said, I come back from a 12-hour shift. And she said this to me. She said, I'm not going to let you sleep until you call. I will keep calling you until I wouldn't let you sleep until you call her, until you call him. So I actually said, Lord, as I call this man, don't let him pick up. Okay. I called him. He picked up and he's like, I'm in the library. I will call you back. And I said, thank you. So I called her back. I said, I've done it. Yeah. Now I can go to sleep. And the rest they say is history. 18 years later, we're here. We started off as best man and best maid of honor. and we've grown to be the best of friends. So he's my best friend. So that's how we started, and this is where we are.
Here you are, and you have these beautiful children. You're pastoring a church. The rest is a lot of history that hopefully the book is coming. By the way, we'll talk about the book another time. This question, I just want to be naughty. So you know how there's this whole thing of love at first sight. Did your heart go brah when you saw him the first time?
They say there's two sides to every story. According to my husband, yes. According to me, I'm like, no. But so, Amma, we actually did not start off as, even though she said, this is the person that I think you should get to know, I did not call this man with the intention of dating. I just called him for her to get off my back.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so eventually, every time, so he called me back, right? After I'm in the library, I'll call you back. He called me back later on that evening or maybe the next day. And he wanted to get to know me. So I told him who I was and yada, yada, yada. And then this is what really, he said, this is what really got to him. One day, because my husband was very busy. He was doing his master's then, he was obtaining his master's in divinity at Trinity University here in the Chicago area. And he had come from Ghana to come to school. So at the time, he had a very busy workload as a student, but he was also on radio. He was also here in the States. He was also pastoring a gypsy church. He was helping with a Korean church. He was helping with a Filipino church. My husband moved from Ghana and God literally thrusted him into like an international. As he would say, his accent was so thick, but then God put him in all these places. So he would leave home maybe like 5 a.m. and he wouldn't get back till maybe 1 a.m.
Wow.
So one day I was talking to him and I said, someday you're going to, and God is my witness. I wasn't saying this for me. I just told him, I said, someday you're going to have a family and you have to learn how to balance your life. You have to learn how to balance your life. And that's what I said. So he said, obviously, this Ghana man that has come from Ghana, where back then women should not be this bold. And of course, and the role that he played, most women would be like kind of, And so he said he did this to the phone. If you're listening, he looked at the phone and then he looked again and said, did I just hear right? Like, who does she think she is to tell me what to do? So he said he called his friend and he said, this is the lady that you're trying to hook me up with. She's definitely not the woman for me. She's too bold. She's too vocal. And no, she's too strong for me. She's too westernized for me. And so I just told him that, again, we were not dating. I was not expecting to date him. I was just giving him a word of unsolicited advice. So my heart, I don't think my heart was like boom, 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 when I met him. It just morphed into. So he said later on when he went to pray about it, and his spiritual father at that time was one of the most profound prophets he's since passed on to be with the Lord. But he said, after he said, no, this is not the woman, his spiritual father called him and said, a woman has come into your life. She has very long hair. My hair naturally is very long. She has very long hair. He said my husband said before he saw me, his father described me to the T.
Wow.
And told him that this is the woman that's going to help you fulfill your assignment.
Okay.
So, before he came to the wedding, he decided to come and visit after he said, who is this woman? And didn't talk to me for a while because I was too bold.
Oh my goodness, what a story. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. And we have to do more of this, but I know if anyone is listening and like, oh, I'm gonna ask more, please, please, please. It's okay. You can see me in chambers. So thank you for sharing that beautiful story. You've already given me more than enough goosebumps for today, but
oh yeah, here we go with the goosebumps, Amma.
But we still need to talk about, love and then boundaries. And even before you go on to advise us and all that, I want to hear a bit more about you in your own relationship with your husband. Has there ever been a time where you had to set boundaries or push them in any way? Is there any experience you can share with us?
Absolutely. I'm a very firm person. And over the years, I've also come to understand what boundaries are, right? I think oftentimes when we hear the word boundary, the first picture that we get is a negativity.
Mm,
When we hear boundaries, the first picture that comes to mind is, especially when you hear that you need to set boundaries, people naturally assume it's a negative thing,
mm,
right? But boundaries, when you look at it in I usually look at it in terms of roadblocks.
mm,
Like if the boundaries are not there, I know in certain parts of the world, they don't really follow the boundaries, but if you're driving, right, and everybody follows the rules of boundary, we would have less accidents on the road, right? We know that when it's a solid yellow line, you don't cross it. You know that if you drive on the right hand of the road, you don't get into the left lane, right? And so I want people to think of boundaries that way. Has there been a time that I've set boundaries multiple times? And I set boundaries for in our romantic relationship or as husband and wife. I would put it that way. The boundaries that I have set is not for me to be selfish, but it's for us as a unit to be progressive in where we're going. So I'll give you an example, right? My husband travels quite a bit. He's actually traveled right now. And I told him, I said, listen, if you're going to travel, I need to know it ahead of time, right? It sounds like it's harsh. It sounds like, but why do I need to know that ahead of time? It is not because she's bossy, but it is so that as a family unit, we know, okay, daddy's traveling this week. The children have soccer, they have basketball, they have this, they have that. So that as a family, we move forward in cohesion and not frustration. Okay. And that may sound like not. So the other thing is, so somebody would ask, okay, so if that's a boundary, what if he doesn't tell you and he travels? Well, there are certain consequences that's going to happen. All right. The first boundary also that I put in place to move us forward, my husband doesn't like to minister on a full stomach. So he usually would eat after. And my husband is also, for anybody that knows my husband, he has the heart of a sheep and a shepherd. So he will empty himself out for people. So after church, anyone that wants to talk to him is open to talk to. He's open to talk to. So sometimes by the time he gets home, it's 11 p.m., it's 12 a.m., and that's when he's going to eat. But also having a healthcare background, I know that that's not good. So one of the firm boundaries that I've put in place is that I will have the food in the refrigerator and I'm willing to serve you around 5, 6 before you leave. But if you come in that late, I am not getting up to feed you. And again, it sounds like harsh, but why am I doing that? I'm doing that for his own health and wellness. I'm doing that so that I can have a husband and a father present for the long term, right? And so, yes, I set very firm boundaries. And the thing, Amma, that I want our audience to hear when it comes to boundaries is you don't set it just to be mean. You have to set boundaries again for the well-being of the entire people involved in the boundaries. I don't think that we set boundaries in a road and lines in roads just to be mean and not let people drive by. I don't think we carve a path for pedestrians alone to walk by just so that the country or the government is mean. It is so that we will have less fatality and we will have order and excellence. And so that's what boundaries are for. And my husband set boundaries for me as well. We do set boundaries for each other, knowing that, no, this is not the right way. I'll give you an example of boundaries that he set for me. for a while. I'm very vocal. And so apparently I was too vocal in some of our meetings, and it would make it look like I'm overpowering him, right? And so he sat me down and he says, you're not going into any meetings until you learn. And that was very crystal clear. My husband is very nice, but he's also very firm. And so we had to talk about it, and I had to respect that boundary and work on myself. And he says it. He said, now I'm even learning more from you on how we talk around people. So it's not just me being mean and telling him what to do. Again, it's for the well-being of the family.
Sadly, I like that you put it in that perspective. It's not just because me and madam and I forgot other people who are non-Ghanaians listening. It's not because I am madam, I'm a boss, but also to make things work for both of our good and everyone else involved. There were these words you used: nice. My husband is nice, but he's firm. And then as you were speaking those words, I was thinking about a typical woman, especially raised in Africa, who is, trained to be humble, meek. I think they said Mary was meek or something like ladies are
gentle and meek.
gentle and meek. Ladies are seen and not heard, and all these things that we were brought up with, which really helped us grow as girls, But then I am wondering and you, of course, you're a coach as well. You pastor also. You mentor women in business and all. I mean, already, and you are a woman in business yourself. You know how it is already, especially if you are still in the beginning stages. You have so much happening, and you have your other roles and all that. And then you also happen to be a wife, or maybe a girlfriend or fiance, or all these other things. And then you are taught to be nice, but you also need to be firm. I'm wondering if this is a scenario that you see in your coaching practice and all, or if not, what are some of the common challenges you see that women have when it comes to setting boundaries in love?
Amma, that's a beautiful question. And I like the fact that you put in maybe from a cultural perspective as well, right? Like you said, certain, and I'm not going to say Africa alone, but certain cultures, women are supposed to be seen and not heard. And even though the woman may be strong financially, and there is this innate voice that culture and tradition always has on all of us, right? And so in order for that woman to set boundaries in romantic relationships, I believe that Dr. Miles Monroe says this thing, and I apply it to almost all aspects of everything that I do, that when the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable, right? When the purpose of a thing is unknown, abuse is inevitable. Meaning, why are you in that romantic relationship? Is it as a result of culturally, I run a business, but I need to be? And I feel like because, again, that word, when a purpose of a thing is unknown, I feel like a lot of us end up in what I call quote unquote abusive relationships. We abuse ourselves and allow ourselves to be abused, both male and female, right? When I don't know why I'm in that romantic relationship, I'm going to abuse my own self with my own thoughts. I'm also going to allow the person that I'm in the relationship with probably also abuse me unknowingly. Okay. So an example is this. I'm from Ghana, born and raised in Ghana. When I moved from Ghana, I was a teenager. But so most of my life actually has been living outside Ghana than I was in Ghana. I moved out of Ghana over 30 years ago. I might believe it or not. I know I look like I'm 12, but but when I met my husband, there were certain expectations because of the culture that he had grown in that he expected a woman's role to be. We all have the same Bible. Yesterday, I think it was my husband left yesterday, so when he was getting ready, because he had come home for 2 nights and he was getting out to leave again. And we're having this conversation about how culture influences our Christianity. We're Christians, but culture influences our religion as well. So the question is, the first question I will ask that woman in business is, what definition of relationship does your culture play? And then that is the seed for which we go in relationships. So somebody is doing very well, but their societal expectation is that I have to be in a relationship. Not only do I have to be in a relationship, I have to be in a relationship at this time of my life. So now you find yourself that you want to really focus on your business, but you feel lonely. You feel like you have achieved nothing because there's no romantic relationship in your life. And I want us to, at every juncture, in order for us to find fulfillment in relationships, you have to know the purpose of the season. And I'm going to say that again. What is the purpose of this particular season? Is it a season for me to nurture children? Is it a season for me to nurture romantic relationship? Is it a season for me to focus on my business? And if so, I need to stand firm and have firm conversations with the person that I'm in a relationship with. And hopefully, as a family unit, we have a unified vision that we can move along.
I have a lot running through my mind. I don't even know where to begin my next question from. But actually, so as you're speaking and different thoughts are occurring to me, I'm thinking of the typical, I don't know whether it's typical, but maybe these days we have women who are pursuing their goals. I mean, they are listening to people like Pastor Annette. They are charged. They are going in for their big dream, their project and all. And sometimes they go, and they are focusing. Yes, you use that word, focusing on your dream, right? And then they realize, oh, I'm 35. Actually, I need to hurry and have kids. Otherwise, and then I've actually encountered some of these women that for them, it's not a big deal. But then everyone else thinks, oh no, deep down, she's lonely. She's this. And we are judging them without even knowing their truth. But anyway, for such a woman who also really wants to, and you know how it is to run a business. Like you can be so what's the word? When you are so engrossed in something, you don't even see what
In tune with it, that
you don't even, sometimes even for us who are married and all, we even forget that we should be paying attention to our husbands and kids and all of that. What's your best advice for us to balance that chasing the dream, the God-given purpose, and also that God-given assignment of being a wife or a mother and all that? Actually, let's limit it to wife, not even mother at this point. How do we do this?
So, Amma, I don't know. The concept of timing is something that I think we overlook and we probably don't understand, right? It boils down to, first of all, itemizing your roles and being very clear on the expectation of each role. Okay. So for me, what are my roles? I'm a daughter of the Most High God first. That's a role, okay, that I don't even get confused about. But I'm also, aside from that, I have my parents are still alive. So not only am I a daughter of the Most High God, I also play the role of a daughter to biological or earthly, let me use the word earthly because it could be adoptive, but earthly parents. And then after, because I'm listing the roles based on its priority order, okay? And then I list the role of, after that, I'm a wife because I became a wife before I became a mother. When I became a wife, it was never guaranteed that I will become a mother. But through this, I became a mother, okay? So then me being a mother, for me personally, falls number 5. Then me being a minister, a messenger of the gospel, for me personally, falls number 6. And then my entrepreneurship, business comes to number 7. That's how I itemize. Now, a few years ago, I got the revelation that I have to make decisions based on the funnels of relationship. That's how I itemize, I prioritize my roles, right? And so for me personally, because I come back to the concept of time. God gives every human being 24 hours in a day. If you look at 24 hours, it's further broken down into 3/8 if you have to look at it that way. This is how I believe, or what I believe. The world, when you look at the world, how work started, this is what we've come to know as the 9 to 5. When you look at a concept of 9 to 5, it's 8 hours, meaning 8 hours should be allocated to work.
Mm-hmm.
The other 8 hours is supposed to be allocated to sleep and rest.
Mm-hmm.
The other 8 hours is supposed to be divided up to everything else, yourself, your family, and everything else. Amma, if we learn to utilize this concept of the threes, we will have such a balanced life that no role will be left undone.
That's true. Have I mentioned that you are very intelligent?
I take from you.
Not only are you intelligent, but you're a teacher. You're able to chale. Do too. Okay.
Imagine me too.
But
But and so I look at it, and most of the people that are around me tease me, that they call me Madam Calendar, right? I should, irrespective of where I am in my business, I should not go more than 2 days without knowing the well-being of my children, whether I'm in the same location with them or not. I should not go more than 3 days and not know the heartbeat of my husband, whether I'm in the same location with him or not. I should not go a month not knowing the well-being of my parents. I should not go, because sometimes you have to borrow time and steal time, right? Which is reality. I'm not going to sit here and say that every 8 hours I close my book of work. No, but when you follow that concept, what I find personally is, if I borrowed yesterday, I should not keep borrowing from the same bucket.
yeah, exactly.
Right? I should not borrow from the same bucket. I should not neglect my romantic relationship for 3 days consecutively, which is what, maybe 12 hours, and keep adding that 12 hours. And that's where we find ourselves at a disbalance, because we're not paying attention to our roles to make sure that we're utilizing time well to cultivate and nurture that.
I think, as you're speaking, it's just clicking that the biggest deal is to have an awareness.
Mhm.
Okay, you have 8 hours, you want to split it, but it's not realistic sometimes. But then if you are not paying attention, you keep borrowing from the same, oh, I'm busy, and then you are letting that relationship go when this person also needs your attention. Speaking of needs your attention, I didn't want us to bring motherhood in, but maybe you can also speak to mothers, how when we have babies, the babies are all so cute and we forget the ones that, we created the baby with.
Yeah.
And they're all
And that's what I said. I know I didn't know questions coming in, but you told me let's talk about relationships. And so I had to note a few things down, right? And this is what I said, that the purpose is not known, and sometimes the purpose is not clearly defined between the two people. Okay, so like you gave the example of, I'm 35, I'm a woman, my biological clock is ticking, and so the only reason, or I will use the word the only reason. The only reason why I'm going into this marriage is to have a child. You see, subconsciously, we make decisions without knowing, right? So for that person, when they go in that marriage, that I'm here to get that child will come, and you will obviously neglect the husband. If that child is not coming, and the man also came in that relationship to get a child, it becomes frustrated. And now we start looking outward as to how we get a child. And so the purpose for me, the key thing when I do pre-marriage counseling is, why are you marrying this person? And are you two on the same page as to why you're coming into this union? Right? It has to be very clear. Is Okay, they say my husband and I, we did like an extensive pre-marriage counseling, which is something that is really lacking these days, especially in the church. And the church culture also does pre-marriage counseling differently, where you go in based on the person doing the counseling, the pastor, because we're in the church. Let me use a church. I'm talking about church. The pastor, if I'm in Ghana, I'm using what I know. You go to counseling, and this is what they tell you. The man is the head. The woman is supposed to submit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's biblical. I honestly believe it. And I like, even if I have an idea, I come to my husband, I said, this is what I suggest, but we'll go with whatever you decide because you're the head. And someday you'll be the one responsible for this. I believe it to the core that the man is the head and the woman is supposed to submit. Okay. Not submit that you're being abused and killed and you're staying there. That's not what I mean by submit. Okay. Because you have power as a woman to take the product to God and say, God, this thing right here is abusing me. Give me wisdom on how to handle it. We have too much power that we don't use the power effectively. But anyway, so you have to now sit down together. In Ghana, they would say, okay, so you submit. When he comes, don't wear jeans to sleep. You too, when and then that's the marriage counseling. The next day that's not marriage counseling. Marriage counseling is, why are you getting married? My husband and I went 6 months and we had to answer the first question we were asking is, why are you marrying him and why are you marrying her? We had to individually write the answer. And then we had to take home 100 multiple choice questions. It's okay. If you'd never end up having children, how would you feel? One of the questions was, how would you like your home decorated? Contemporary, traditional. One of the questions was, who would be responsible to take the cars to the auto shop this was before we said I do. Okay. So it was before we came in, I knew what he wanted. One of the questions was, both our parents were alive then. What would be the responsibility? Do you intend to take your parents to nursing home? How do you feel about it? So right there, before you get in, you've already covered it. It's not later, 10 years later, oh, my mother wants to come live with me. And you're like, no, we had that discussion before. And our pastor that was counseling us refused to marry us until we settled on each one of these things.
Wow.
Right? So it's no longer, well, you told me that you'd be okay if we didn't have a children. And now we had time to really work through. And I feel like we need to know, why are you marrying me? Is it because your biological clock is ticking? Is it because I'm going to finance your business? Is it because you saw that I'm 6'2"? Is it because my bank account? Is it because you want children to have my skin color? You want children that has my nose, my eyes? People marry Amma for crazy reasons. And it's not even guaranteed that they will not take your nose, but they'll take his nose.
I know, right? And then, so, I mean, obviously, I'm very impressed with the counseling that you did. And I have another question, but before then, haven't had the opportunity to go through some of these questions that for some of us, it's later on in life that we met. Do you think it prepared you better? I mean, or, okay, maybe... how do I put my question? So I think I want to ask, going forward, do you think if someone has this kind of counseling where they look at a lot of different issues that can potentially come up in marriage and then settle on how they will deal with it if it comes, do you think that they will be less surprised by some of the things that show up?
Absolutely. So absolutely. I want to speak a language that everybody would understand, and that's business, right? Because most of you here are for business. So let's look at this, that you're about to start a business, right? And you have no business education whatsoever, just like most of us did. You just started it. You saw that people were selling wig. You also went and borrowed some wig and started selling it, and then you were paying. Or you took what's the Fabulous CEO course?
Fab CEO Mastermind.
Mastermind, not the master. There's a course that the women
Coaching for startup.
Yes. Okay. So let's say coaching for startups, right? and you haven't started, but you take this course before you start. You learn about budgeting. You learn about registering the business well. You learn about selling. You learn about networking before you start. And then I also start a business without this knowledge. Who has an advantage of becoming more successful? And I use advantage because it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be. But just looking at me having more information about the business before starting it, I have a better advantage of succeeding more than the person that has been thrown into business and doesn't even know anything about selling or networking or promoting or even setting up or having IG or being anything like that. So I think that answers your question. It prepared, and I tell my husband all the time, we both say it. If we had not gone through that extensive, knowing our personalities, we probably would not be here. And even if we were here, we would not be the kind of people that we are with each other.
That's amazing. And one of the other question I wanted to ask is, I know you are a pastor, so you counsel in your church, but you also do marriage counseling outside of your church. I mean, even globally, where people can sit.
Yes. I've come to Ghana and multiple people have reached out, sat down. I think when I'm in Ghana, majority of my counseling that I do and consultation that I do has to do with marriage and anything. Even when people come with church stuff and with business stuff, it always ends up being marriage. Let me share this with our audience, okay? I know we chase things, we chase business and everything else. But I'm going to look in your eyes here, you that is listening to me. And if you're not seeing me and you're hearing me, I'm leaning into your ears to speak to you. Everything that we do in life centers on relationships. Everything we do in life centers on relationships. If we do not cultivate and put more time in cultivating and growing the relationships around us, things will fall apart. Things will fall apart. So if you and I, first of all, educate ourselves better on any relationship that we're going in, whether it's romantic, whether it's business, whether whatever, if we know how to cultivate and nurture relationships, everything else will fall in place. So if I know how to nurture my marriage effectively, everything else, my business will thrive, my children will thrive. And the thing is, sometimes we neglect cultivating relationships around us. You neglect cultivating your client's relationship and you want them to come and buy your product. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. People around us want to feel valued. They want to feel like they are the priorities in our lives. So if my husband, for whatever reason, thinks my child is more of an importance than him, or my clients feel like if they go to Amma, they get the attention, they get the smile, but when they come to me, they're going to get the sternness, they're going to go to Amma. Right? And so I know we chase things, but let's chase cultivating relationships first and the things. The Bible says in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all other things shall be added. What is the kingdom of God? The kingdom of God is seeking a relationship with Jesus. It is a relationship first, and then everything else falls in place. But we've gotten the equation really messed up. I want what the marriage is going to bring me, but not what the person is bringing to the marriage.
Preach. Praise the Oh, no, seriously, I'm feeling this. And I'm so happy also to learn that you do counseling. And do you also do post-marriage or post-marital, or is it only?
I do all sorts. Restoration is really important for me. And when I talk about restoration, is a lot of us leave marriages, leave relationships, and we leave with a wound so deep that if we don't take time to heal, it's like, when a wound is really stinking, everybody else that comes around that wound don't want to stay,
Yeah.
right? And so, especially people that leave really toxic relationships and abusive relationships, if we don't take time to work and heal that wound, no matter what other people come around us, no matter how good or great they are, we will destroy it again. And so there is a statistical fact, research-based fact, that if you leave a first relationship, if you get divorced, the chances of you getting divorced the second time is much higher than a person that's marrying the first time. Because what happens is you go in with your antennas all up. This is what the other person did. And I'm definitely, so before, even if there is not that, you see things that are not there, right? And it takes deep wound work and recalibration to go in and heal before the next one would work. If anyone leaves a marriage, a relationship, and don't take time to heal, the next one is most likely not going to work.
Might even end up being worse. Ooh,
Worse.
ouch. And that, I mean, the good news is, as long as you get that healing, there is hope, right? Yes.
Yes. I mean, I've seen people that are on their second marriage and they actually are thriving. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. But most of the people that I've seen in that way, they took time to heal.
They did the work.
They did the work.
Oh my goodness. I still have a lot of questions, but I know I'm respectful of your time, so I'll do my best. This one, it's the love month and people are being all lovey-dovey. But the truth too is there's not everyone who has someone to do lovey-dovey. I don't even want to go into self-love. That's a conversation for another day. But just for women looking for relationship partnerships, romantic relationships, these are also women who are busy with work and all that. What advice do you have for such women, thinking even about the kind of women you've been coaching and the problems they've been bringing to you in this area?
The first thing I would say is, I said it at the beginning, know the purpose of this season. What is the purpose of your season? Is it just to find a man, or do you believe that there's more to you to add to this world than just a romantic relationship, right? So when you know the purpose of a season, you don't get overwhelmed. As a woman of faith, I believe that God's timing is the best. Okay. It doesn't mean I don't feel lonely. It doesn't mean I don't get jealous. It doesn't mean, like, I know my time is coming, but still, when I see my sister's time, hey, Charlie God, when is my coming? I had to switch to my Ghanaian thingy. But there is a Jewish saying, and I found this when I went to Israel, that when a woman is in labor and she's really contracted and is in pain, the more she prays for other people's pain, the easier her labor comes and she delivers.
Oh,
right? So when a woman is actually in labor, a Jewish woman is actually in labor, the women that are surrounding her will raise up prayer points for her to pray for the ease of other people's labor, and it eases her own labor. So instead of feeling lonely, which will breed jealousy, I would say start celebrating people around you and start praying for the well-being of marriages around you. And when I like to close my eyes when I pray, right? And I believe that if I'm praying for other people and I'm praying for the well-being of other people, when I open my eyes, I will have a delightful surprise waiting for my own. So that's what I would say. Don't fixate on why I'm not married. Oh, why am I not getting roses? Pray, go volunteer, go and encourage someone. Don't sit down and make your loneliness worse. Encourage other people. Pray that other people's marriages will go well. And while you're doing that, your own will come. I know that for sure.
Thank you. And I just had this question. It's not part of what I plan to, but I just feel that I should. Do you think marriage cures loneliness?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't even let you finish that question. Absolutely not. If you don't know how to find fulfillment within, Nobody around you can feel. Though I'm sure you and I know of a very, very, very wealthy man that has a very, very beautiful wife that doesn't have to touch a thing. Like there's house girls and whatever she wants, her husband gives. Husband, married, but she cries herself to sleep every day. Why? Because she has not found fulfillment for her season and purpose for her season. So she feels like her joy and happiness has to be tied to a human being. Yes, we need to nurture relationships, but joy comes from within. And as a Christian, Bible tells me that the joy of the Lord is my strength. So ladies, if you are looking to get married so you don't feel lonely anymore, think and think again. There's this thing, Amma, that I tell young women that are getting married that, I'm getting old. And I said, listen, if you're feeling this sad all by yourself, you're going to bring somebody else's sadness on the day that you're ready. That's sadness squared. So when you are single, your sadness is just one. When you marry, the day you are sad about something and he also brings his sadness self, you have two sadness environments to deal with. So no, it doesn't. Find fulfillment in the purpose for the season and roll with it.
Amen, amen, amen. Now, I have some short questions, really. All you have to do is complete the following with a short phrase or a sentence. There are 3. The first one is, if I could advise my younger self, I would say,
God is always with you. God is right by your side. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. He's there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Second, I am fabulous because
I'm beautiful.
You're African, you're beautiful, and you have
I'm beautiful. I don't care what you see. I know I'm beautiful. I don't need anybody to tell me I'm beautiful. So that makes me fabulous.
In fact, let's read. I want you to read what's on the. I want.
That one right here. Yes. Okay. So this one here says, don't wish for it. Work for it. Don't wish for a good marriage. You better put your hand in the plow for it. This one here says, they whispered to her, you can't stand the storm. She whispered back, I am the storm.
I am the storm, baby.
I am the storm.
Okay, the last question. One book that has greatly helped me in my romantic relationship matters.
Okay. I have a ton of books when it comes to relationship, but I brought this one next to me just to share with everyone. It's this one here. Strangling your husband is not an option. Okay. So whenever I feel like strangling that man, I have to, just the title. It's a book that has helped me a lot on my romantic journey.
You mean me sometimes wants to strangle herself?
Hey, Charlie, every human being, the children that you birthed, that you love, and there's that the one that didn't come from your womb, that you didn't nurture. Even your own children, someday you want to be like, hey,
Love them, but then you
exactly. So every one of us at some point want to strangle somebody, right? The devil, sometimes even Christians want to strangle God if they could.
I know.
Yes. Yeah. So I keep this right next to me, and I just have to remember, strangling your husband right now is not an option, Annette. It's not an option.
Oh my God, that's such a beautiful title. And of course, I mean, after you go and cry, eh?
Yeah, it's not an option because you will miss him no matter who they are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we round up, I mean, I know you are already a big deal in Ghana and Chicago and all over the world. People know you, but just for the sake of someone who is like, I haven't met this woman. Where is she? Get me her number. How do we find you?
Well, I'm on all social media platforms. I'm not going to age myself here, okay? So don't age me. I'm 12. But I'm more active on Facebook, even though I know that tells you my generation. Annette Dei, on social media. My website is, I have a ministry that ministers to women. It empowers women, educate women, equip women. It's a ministry called Beauties of Eden, and our website is all BOE, so all Beauties of Eden, but it's BOE.com. I also have a foundation that is registered both in Ghana and in the United States, and it caters to orphans, widows, and women farmers. And it's called Shallum Foundation. And Shallum Foundation, you can find us on our website. Shallum is SHALLUM, shallumfoundation.org. And you can see the work that God is graciously using our hands to do. Instagram, Annette Dei, or Nettie D, NETTEYD, is what you will find me on Instagram. And where else? YouTube. I have Beauties of Eden has a YouTube channel that we release an episode every Monday. So that also is under Beauties of Eden. I have a personal YouTube channel. I probably have 2 uploads on there. I typically use it for my coaching clients. So most of the videos on there, I have a ton of videos on there, but most of them are what they call, I'm the ones that you hide private. Yeah, private. But so the ones that's public is probably 2 or 3, and probably it was maybe from 20 years ago. I don't even know. But I don't know if I'm a big girl anyway. I'm just a small girl somewhere that just likes to talk.
This woman, you our house, like, oh my goodness. And I mean, I've listened to you talk a gazillion times, and yet every single time I learn something new. So it's really a privilege to say that, oh yeah, I know her. Oh yeah, I sit with her. Like, oh, and a little bit tells me you're coming for IFAB 2025.
Yes. And I'm working. I may bring you a surprise. I may bring you somebody. So we'll see.
Hey, Jesus.
We'll see.
Dear Lord.
One of my ladies wants to come to Ghana so bad. She keeps asking me, have you bought your ticket yet? So I know. So I don't know. We'll see.
We are so excited. I mean, everyone should come. Every single person, come and see beautiful Ghana. Network with the beautiful women we have in our network who are just doing amazing. This morning, I was having a conversation with someone who was saying, Amma, you need to take this to Africa. Imagine their products on these markets. And this is what we want to do, because people are creating amazing products and services, and people just need to see it and they will fall in love. So yes, please, we are inviting everybody, come all the way. And please, may I get a copy of that book, The Strangling? I mean,
when I'm coming, I'll find one for you. You have to put it big and bold for Mr. Duncan. Strangling is not an option.
You want to do that sometimes, but he's
you are an angel that just fell down.
You ask him, he will do a different thing.
Amma, there's a conversation that I've always wanted to talk, okay? And it has to do with business women and their sexual relationships with their spouses, okay? I think it should be a conversation that we need to bring out. See, Amma is drinking. I've already told people in my network, people that I hang, and everybody's afraid to go there. Let's go there. If you're interested in that conversation, put a comment right here and say, let's go there. We need to open that can of worms. Let's talk about it. With all our traveling and our business and neglecting our husbands, how are things in the bedroom happening? Are we scheduling it? Some people think it's crazy that you schedule it. Some people think that, Amma, that should be, find a bold person that will have that conversation this November. And let's just that alone.
I'll be there in the room. I'll do whatever. I'll serve coffee. I'll do this. This is very important to me. My husband himself will push me. Please.
I said, Amma, it's been burning. Like I did a survey about it a few years ago, I think. Yeah. Right. It's a lot of people's marriages are falling apart because of this one thing. They are seeing the glam, but they don't know the effect that is having in the home, right? They don't know the negotiations that are happening in the home, because that is a thing that we're not talking about. Yeah. We're not talking about human beings, minus me, as sexual beings. Minus me. But anyway, I think while you're doing this series, I think, Yes. I'll be the one that will bring my cup just to listen, because I'm very curious about the answer.
Yeah, and it will help us. And there are a lot of questions. I mean, I know this is not the topic, but it's really relevant. There are a lot of, we need that support. Like, I know I need that kind of support. I remember in one year, I was like, oh, this year I will have sex how many times? I put a number. By the end of the middle of the year, I had reduced it drastically because it wasn't realistic. But there
It's not
has to
realistic.
be a way. There has got to be a way, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a conversation that needs to be had. Some of us need to learn. I mean, it's something that I want to hear. Especially, I want to hear from the successful, strong women. How is it impacting yeah.
Absolutely. And oh, and the last thing I'll ask before you go, I know that when you come to Ghana, you bless us with a retreat here, and there, speaking engagements. And do you know yet what's happening while you are here? I mean, apart from the fact that you'll be at IFA.
Yes. So the weekend of April, this is the longest time I'm going to be in Ghana. And then so because I have a few projects that I'll be working on. But the weekend of April 11th and 12th, I'm planning. I haven't settled yet. We're still in the planning stages if it'll be a 1-day conference or a 2-day conference. But I'm planning a conference and it's called Kindled Conference. And it's pretty much to spark fire back in those of us that, whether it's relationships that's dwindled, whether it's your business that's dwindled, but most importantly, is the fire of God that is dwindling, that is making us cold in pursuit of our purpose. So the Kindled Conference is a very strong prophetic message that I received, not from a human being, but I was minding my own business and the blueprint was given to me. I spoke to my husband. He's very much in supportive of it. Again, because I don't live in Ghana, I don't have all the details, but I know that it's going to be one of the, if not the biggest, the strongest prophetically that I've ever done in Ghana.
I look forward to it. And ladies, I mean, if you've been enjoying this as much as I am, then you already know this woman is a gem. And we are blessed to say she's also Ghanaian. No, hey, she's one of us.
Hey, see me. I love my Ghana.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you, and please send our love to your beautiful family. You know, I still haven't met your husband. Can you imagine? Can you
I
imagine?
know that I don't even like the man goes to Ghana like at the drop of a hat, and I'm so surprised.
Then
You know, when I told him about, I know people are like, okay, so when I told him about the thing, he's the one that says, okay, you're going. I said, oh, you're not traveling. He said, but you know, my husband usually will say this, anything for Amma.
oh.
So all of you that are hearing this part of the conversation, yeah, he always says anything for Amma. Because he sees your heart for women, right? He sees your heart for women. And if you don't know, I'm sure if you're in this community, you know Amma's heart for women. It's not a selfish motive. It's to see women thrive, not just survive, thrive. And anything that has to do with that, I'm in full support. My whole family is in full support.
Bless you.
Because it's very rare, Amma. Women usually, like they say, it has been the history, but we're changing it. Women are our worst enemies. But you're changing the narrative, whether you see it or not, you're changing that narrative, and it's become like wildfire that people are waking up to, that you don't have to compete, you have to collaborate.
Fab Hab Ashanti, a haven nestled at the tip of Kumasi, where fresh air meets serenity. Fab Hab Ashanti is a residential learning and event space perfect for your corporate training, staff retreat, group hangouts, and wedding receptions. With 4 rooms and 15 beds, you and your group can sleep comfortably. What makes us special? Fab Hab Ashanti is not just a space, it's a commitment. By choosing us, you support community projects empowering women and youth. Join us at Fab Hab Ashanti off Aful Junction, Abuabukesi, Kumasi. Fab Hab Ashanti, here we grow.
How many goosebumps did you get? Were they as many as mine? every time I talk to Pastor Annette, I learn something new. And she has such a profound way of making you understand basic things. She's truly a teacher, and I love her stories. I mean, I could sit, I'm sure you noticed, I was just like engrossed in the conversation. I took away a number of things, but I want to hold what I took, and I want to ask you, what did you take away? And if you watch to the end, if you're listening to me now, then the questions she asked at the end regarding that certain subject that we should have a conversation on. Is this something you think we should do? If it's a yes, put yes in the chat. And hey, I hope to see you at IFAP 2025. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary. God has been good to us at the Fabulous Woman Network, and we hope you are joining us to celebrate. Click on the link in the caption so you can read more about IFAP. And I wish you the very best in this month of love. Ta, toodles, bye.
Mind Your Business is one of our free resources available on YouTube. And if you prefer to work with me one-on-one as your coach, as a consultant, or as a trainer, it starts with a discovery call. Head to amaduncan.com/store to book a discovery call with me.